So last week, we talked about a government rule that requires a car company to report whenever a car gets into a crash while it is in self-driving mode. Crashes like this one on Thanksgiving Day in 2022, when a Tesla in San Francisco that was in full self-driving mode inexplicably stopped on the highway and caused an 8-car pileup. Thanks to this rule that you have to report it when a self-driving car crashes, Tesla had to report that crash to the government. Now that the CEO of Tesla is a kind of a co-president-elect, though, Reuters is reporting this, quote, Trump team wants to scrap car crash reporting rule that Tesla opposes. For the low price of financing one presidential election, Tesla may have bought itself a U.S. government that, among other things, no longer requires Tesla to report when its self-driving software causes wrecks and hurts and kills people. But Tesla's interests aren't just in the United States. Arguably, Tesla is more a Chinese car company than it is an American car company. The biggest Tesla factory, the factory that makes more of its cars than any other plant, the single factory which makes roughly half the cars it makes globally, is a huge one in Shanghai. And Tesla right now is trying to get approval from the Chinese government to operate its self-driving car technology in that country as well. Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, really wants to keep the Chinese government happy. And he really wants to build yet more factories in China. He's really invested in having Chinese workers manufacturing his cars. Right down the street from his huge Shanghai Tesla factory that he's already got up and running, Musk is building another huge $200 million Tesla battery factory, again, to employ Chinese workers. While Donald Trump appears to have not gotten what he wanted out of the near government shutdown this weekend, Elon Musk does appear to have successfully maneuvered Republicans in Congress into cutting out of the government funding bill a provision that would have thrown regulatory roadblocks in the way of his continued massive investment in Chinese manufacturing for his car company. We reached out for comment. We have not heard back. We'll let you know if we do. But the idea that we have just gone through this near-death experience, right, with another Trump government shutdown potentially happening right before Christmas, even before Trump technically gets back into office. And we did it specifically so his billionaire pseudo co-president could protect his relationship with the Chinese government and get more of what he wants in terms of Chinese manufacturing. I mean, it's unsettling enough from a national security perspective, from a national sovereignty perspective. But it's all the more unsettling, given reporting in recent days about the ways in which our own government has found Elon Musk to be a potential national security risk. The Wall Street Journal, for example, reported that while there are several hundred employees at SpaceX, Musk's company, who have security clearances for what's known as sensitive compartmented information, Elon Musk is not one of the people who has that level of clearance, and that's not normal for companies doing this kind of sensitive work with the government. The Journal reports that the CEOs of other similarly situated companies, they've all been able to get this kind of security clearance, but not Elon Musk. If you're wondering why, consider this reporting from Kirsten Grind, Eric Lipton, and Shira Frankel at the New York Times. Quote, Elon Musk and his rocket company SpaceX have repeatedly failed to comply with federal reporting protocols aimed at protecting state secrets, including by not providing some details of his meetings with foreign leaders, according to people with knowledge of the company and internal documents. Quote, concerns about the reporting practices, and particularly about Musk himself, have triggered at least 3 federal reviews. The Defense Department's Office of Inspector General opened a review into the matter this year. The Air Force and also the Pentagon's Office of Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security separately initiated reviews last month. As in November, the Air Force also recently denied Musk a high-level security access, citing potential security risks. Quote, in the past 3 years, 9 different countries, including in Europe and the Middle East, 9 different countries have raised security questions about Musk in meetings with U.S. defense officers. It seems clear from the reporting that some of these security concerns may have to do with reports about Elon Musk's drug use. But there's also these continuing concerns that he has not disclosed all of his meetings with foreign leaders or what was talked about in those meetings, and that is required if you want to maintain a security clearance with the U.S. government. The question for all of us broadly is, why would a person refuse to disclose what's happening at meetings with foreign leaders and foreign governments? What are you talking about with foreign leaders that you don't want the U.S. government to know about? And what does it mean to have somebody who's seen as that kind of a security risk, essentially single-handedly directing the actions of the U.S. government during a presidential transition? Joining us now is New York Times investigative reporter Eric Lipton. Mr. Lipton, thanks very much for your time tonight. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
So help me understand I guess how surprising it is, how unexpected it might be in the abstract for somebody who is the head of a company like SpaceX, for example, to not have the kind of security clearances that Mr. Musk has either not been able to obtain or has actively been denied.
There's something called the Special Access Program that is a higher level of classification that SpaceX wanted for Elon Musk that would allow him to participate in some of the most sensitive discussions around, for example, right now, SpaceX is helping the National Reconnaissance Office build a spy satellite network around the globe in orbit. He's also, in charge of national security launches, putting some of the most sensitive spy satellites and missile tracking equipment into orbit. And so the Special Access Program would have given him the ability to participate in some of the most classified discussions around these programs. And that was denied by the Air Force. He does have top secret clearance, but he does not have special access program. And that's unusual for a CEO. It's something that doesn't really happen for a CEO at that level, for there to be questions about a special access program ability for someone at that level. And so, but the fact of the matter is that SpaceX is incredibly involved in the national security and spy system right now. It is not only a launch company, it is actually helping build a spy satellite network and also helping, create the satellites that are used for missile tracking, for missile defense programs in the United States. So it's an incredibly important company in the national security of the United States at the moment.
An incredibly important company for the national security of the United States, whose CEO can't get top-level security clearance to be allowed access to some of what his own company is doing. It seems strange. Can I ask you about other countries having reported security concerns about Mr. Musk to U.S. defense officials? Do we know anything about the nature of those concerns that they reported?
I mean, the most specific thing is from a colleague that worked on the story with us, and that had to do with Israel. Had some concerns about whether or not Musk could be trusted to maintain state secrets, and was not communicating with potential adversaries, sharing information that perhaps he had access to, and that was one of the number of countries that was shared with us that raised a concern about Musk and whether or not basically, could he be trusted? I mean, it's very unusual to have a CEO of a major defense contractor be so engaged in foreign business operations directly, as you discussed with respect to China, and the extent of his operations in China and the business interest that China and the leverage to some extent that China therefore has over him and his company is unusual, and I think that makes folks at the Air Force uncomfortable.
New York Times investigative reporter Eric Lipton, thank you very much. I know this is a particularly technical area of reporting. It's really hard to report on security clearances and intelligence concerns because of how secret it all is. It's been really illuminating to have you and your colleagues working on this. Thank you so much for helping us understand it.
Thank you.